put the spotlight on this ET Now exclusive then. Speaking at etnow.in Business Conclave and Award 2025 hosted by Times Network Digital, you have the former MOS, that's Minister of State Rajeev Chandrasekhar, speaking exclusively to ET Now Sumita Karir about India's efforts to develop and govern AI. Chandrasekhar also discussed the need for new laws to address the growing concerns surrounding the misuse of AI. Here's an excerpt of that exclusive conversation.
If you really want to get a good sense of what India's approach is, and we are sitting and doing this in Delhi, and Delhi is full of pundits, as you know, and everybody in Delhi has a view on what AI should be. But to get a good sense of India's AI strategy, you need to go back to December 2023, where Prime Minister Narendra Modi ji, when he was inaugurating the Global Partnership for AI, the New Delhi Summit, said very beautifully and almost very lucidly that our approach to AI, India's approach to AI, is to make sure AI solves real problems that confront government, real problems that confront people. So our approach is not about large language models or general purpose models, that the sharp focus of our ecosystem is to build use cases that are built around AI. So what does that mean? It means in AI language, small language models, expert models that will deal with healthcare, that will deal with education, that will deal with agriculture, and are effectively AI layers on the huge amounts of data that we already have in our country for healthcare, education, agriculture, based on our DPIs. What is India's AI strategy? Look no further than December 23, when the Prime Minister very clearly laid out what our vision for AI is, that we are not in a mad race with the rest of the world for bragging rights, कि मेरा model में 3 trillion parameter hai. That's not our game. Our game is really to build models, build foundational and expert models, but models that are directed to solve problems for the people of India, solve problems that will make governance better and more impactful.
You've been a key part of India's, digital economy and how it looks today. You've been the, brains behind some of our key legislations, including the DPDP Act, and of course, mitigating the risk of deep fakes during the Lok Sabha elections in 2024. When you say that these are just early days, in your opinion, what is going to, how will AI really translate into healthcare services, for example, medical services or educational services, and in agriculture? We've seen the kind of revolution that's been brought about by DPI, India's digital public infrastructure, but what will a social infrastructure led by AI look like?
No, this is a brilliant question, because I think the real question is, fine, there is all of this buzz about AI and everybody is an expert in AI and everybody knows AI. But what really does it mean to a country? What does it mean to a people? And Satya Nadella 4-5 days ago said in a podcast, and I think he summarized it best. And it is very similar to how our Prime Minister has been approaching this. He said, unless AI delivers to you 10 to 20%, 20 basis points of economic growth, as a nation, as an economy, or unless it, as an enterprise, gives you a certain percentage of growth in your top line or improvement in your cost efficiency, unless there is a fiscal impact, a direct financial impact that can be measured, everything else about AI is just buzz. So therefore, I think from our point of view, the social impact will be that we will be able to do, through our expert models and small language models, be able to diagnose, predict healthcare emergencies and healthcare problems faster. We will be able to do this without the one-shoe-fits-all model where the Northeast, the people are different from the North, are different from the South, are different from the West. Nutrition, agriculture, farmers' incomes, farmers' economic models can be predicted by looking at creating a model that can predict rainfall, can predict weather patterns, cropping patterns. And so many such applications that lend themselves much more powerfully to AI and AI models we can develop use cases for. And the combined impact of all this will be that it impacts our GDP, it impacts individual disposable income and prosperity, and as a collective, impact the economy of India. So unless we look at AI like that, the conversation around AI tends to get into what's the latest bells and whistles around AI, and which is an interesting conversation to have, and every geek and every AI practitioner will certainly do it. But from a public policy point of view, that it will create deep, irreversible changes in the way people's problems are solved, and how that contributes in turn to economic growth, more income, and more efficiency in individual lives, and collectively in the economy of the country, is really what the heart and soul of AI is.
So you'd know, when you say that, you'd know better than many of us who are sitting here. Will there be a day when we'll be able to export India's AI to the rest of the world, as we are doing in the space of electronics, for instance, which has now become one of the foremost areas of export?
So again, excellent question, and I think I hate to say that I'm predicting, or I don't want to pretend to be an astrologer or a crystal ball gazer, but if you look at what President Trump is doing and Elon Musk is doing in the US, if you look at what DeepSeek and the Chinese are doing, we are essentially preparing for a world where the battleground is going to be about data, it is going to be about models, who has superior AI capability, what kind of applications do I have on what type of models. So therefore, AI is certainly going to become a determiner of the competitiveness of countries' economies. And we must consider it that way. And if we consider it that way, we must assume that that is true. We must also be very focused on building our own capabilities. The American establishment now, after President Trump comes in, I understand, believes that they will not be subject to any global regulation. And if that is the case, and they say we will only subscribe to US law, and if the US First Amendment allows me to do whatever I want, and right to free speech is a sacrosanct right, so what happens to India's Article 19 restrictions? What happens to other countries which have different laws in terms of harm and user harm and criminality? So these are, I think, very, very interesting times where this issue about global governance, global guardrails around AI, to make it safe, to make it trusted, to prevent harm, to prevent criminality, will have to evolve. And I'm hoping by the time India hosts the AI summit that the Prime Minister has announced, that some of these issues would have been debated and discussed more deeper, and that we would be in a position to talk about it in a global forum.
If you like this video, then like, share and subscribe to ET Now.